She thought she saved a patient, but the woman she saved was the Mafia boss's mother, and she had claimed her as daughter-in-law on the spot. Most people in the city whispered the same thing. Don't ever cross paths with Donna Isabella Romano. The mother of Italy's most feared Mafia boss wasn't just wealthy. She was a legend. Fierce, sharp-tongued, loyal to death. If you upset her, you upset the entire syndicate under her son. But on one dangerous afternoon at San Michele Hospital, Donna Isabella Romano crossed paths with someone nobody expected. A nurse in scrubs faded from too many washes, dark hair tied back in a messy bun, carrying a tray of medications. And that's the girl who saved her life. The hospital corridor was chaos as usual. Beeping monitors, rushing doctors, the sharp scent of disinfectant. Donna Isabella's private room sat in the cardiac wing, door slightly ajar. She was there for routine heart monitoring, a quarterly checkup her son insisted on. Her driver, Giuseppe, had stepped out to make calls. For a split second, she was alone with the attending physician. And that's when it happened. Dr. Russo, the cardiologist assigned to her case, entered with a small medication cup. "Signora Romano, time for your heart medication," he said smoothly. But something was wrong. Donna Isabella had been taking heart medication for years. She knew what her pills looked like. These were different, slightly larger, different shade. Her instincts, honed from decades in a dangerous world, screamed warning. But the doctor was insistent. "Please, signora." Doctor's orders. She reached for the cup. Her fingers were inches away. And then a blur, a shout, a hand knocking the cup violently from the doctor's grip. Pills scattered across the sterile floor like deadly confetti. "No, don't take those." Sofia Benedetti, 24, critical care nurse, hair frizzy from the humid hospital air, burst into the room. Her scrubs were wrinkled from a double shift. Her badge hung crooked. Her heart was pounding so hard it hurt. But she had stopped it. She had stopped Donna Isabella from taking the medication. Dr. Russo's face went purple with rage. "What are you doing? How dare you interfere with my patient care?" The pills rolled everywhere, small white circles of death disguised as medicine. Donna Isabella gasped, her hand frozen in midair where the cup had been seconds before. "What?" she breathed. "What just happened?" Sofia, trembling but determined, held up the medication chart she'd grabbed from the nurse's station. "Ma'am, these aren't your prescribed medications. Someone switched them. The dosage alone would have caused immediate cardiac arrest, but worse." She looked at Dr. Russo with accusation burning in her eyes. "These pills contain a compound that would make it look like natural heart failure. Untraceable unless someone specifically looked for it." Dr. Russo backed toward the door. "This nurse is clearly unstable. I'm calling security." But Sofia was faster. She hit the emergency call button. Red lights flashed. Alarms blared. Within seconds, the hallway flooded with staff. Real staff. People Sofia had worked with for 2 years. People she trusted. "Someone call the police," Sofia shouted. "And get toxicology up here now. This man just tried to poison a patient." The doctor bolted. He shoved past an orderly and ran for the stairwell. Giuseppe, Donna Isabella's driver, reappeared just in time to see the man flee. Years of training kicked in. He didn't hesitate. He chased. Donna Isabella sat in her hospital bed, chest heaving, staring at the scattered pills on the floor. Those would have killed me." Her voice trembled, something it rarely did. Sofia knelt beside the bed, her own hands shaking violently now that the adrenaline was crashing. "Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. I was reviewing the medication orders for my patients when I noticed your chart had been modified. The handwriting was wrong. The dosage was lethal. I ran. I didn't think. I just knew I had to stop you. No fear, no hesitation, no calculating how dangerous this might be. Just instinct and heart." Donna Isabella stared at her savior, her chest tight with shock and gratitude. This girl, this stranger, this nurse had risked her career, maybe her life, to save a woman she didn't even know. "Who are you?" she whispered. Sofia Benedetti, ma'am. I'm one of the ICU nurses. I was covering the cardiac wing today because we're short-staffed." Sirens echoed from outside. Security flooded the floor. Phones exploded with emergency calls, and in the parking lot, a black Maserati screeched to a halt, tires smoking. The man who emerged made everyone in the vicinity go quiet. Marco Romano, the Italian Mafia prince. Donna Isabella's only son. Tall, broad shoulders, sharp jawline, eyes like black ice. The kind of man people fear even when he's standing still. He stormed into the hospital, his men flanking him like a dark wave. Nurses pressed against walls. Doctors suddenly found other places to be. He moved with lethal grace, expensive suit doing nothing to hide the predator underneath. He burst into his mother's room, and for just a second the mask cracked. Pure panic, pure fear. "Mama." He grabbed her shoulders, hands shaking as he searched for injuries. "Are you hurt? What happened?" "I got a call. Someone tried." "I'm alive," Donna Isabella said, her voice steadier now. She pointed at Sophia, who stood frozen near the window, still clutching the medication chart like a shield. Because of her, Marco turned. His eyes locked on Sophia. She stood there in her wrinkled scrubs, messy hair, exhausted eyes, a random nurse who had just stepped into his world by accident. "You?" he asked, his voice dangerously quiet. She swallowed hard. "Me. Yes. I stopped her from taking medication that had been tampered with." His eyes dropped to her hands, noticed they were shaking. His jaw clenched. "You saved my mother's life. I was just doing my job," Sophia said, though her voice wavered. "Your job is to administer medication, not question doctors," Marco said, stepping closer. "What made you check?" "The handwriting on the chart was wrong," Sophia explained. "I've been a nurse for 3 years. You learn to spot inconsistencies." The signature looked forged. The dosage was astronomical, and she hesitated. "And I remembered seeing a man in a white coat earlier who didn't belong. He wasn't staff. I've never seen him before." Marco's expression went from concern to lethal in half a second. "Describe him." Sophia did. Every detail. Height, build, the way he moved, the fake hospital badge. She had a good memory, trained from years of tracking patient details. Marco's men took notes, already pulling up security footage on tablets. "There," Sophia said, pointing at a screen. "That's him. Room 408, 3 hours ago." The man on the screen was placing something in Donna Isabella's medication drawer. Marco's voice was ice. "Find him. Now." People scattered to obey. Marco turned back to Sophia, his expression softening just slightly. "You stopped a professional hit. Do you understand what that means?" Sophia's stomach dropped. "A hit? You mean someone paid him to kill my mother?" "Yes," Marco said bluntly. "And you interfered, which makes you—" He paused, thinking. "Which makes you a hero and a target." Sophia's knees went weak. A nearby chair caught her as she sank into it. "A target? I'm a nurse. I don't have anything to do with whatever world you're in. I just saw something wrong and I fixed it. And that," Donna Isabella said softly, "is why you're extraordinary." The older woman was staring at Sophia with an intensity that was almost uncomfortable. "What is your name, child?" "Sophia Benedetti, ma'am." "Sophia," Donna Isabella repeated, testing the name on her tongue. "Are you always this reckless?" Sophia let out a shaky laugh. "I wouldn't call it reckless. I'd call it being a good nurse." "You threw yourself between me and death," Donna Isabella said. "For a stranger." "You weren't a stranger," Sophia said gently. "You were my patient. That's all that mattered." Marco inhaled sharply. Something in those words hit him harder than he expected. His mother placed a hand on Sophia's cheek, the gesture surprisingly tender. "My son is lucky," she murmured. "Very lucky." Sophia frowned, confused. "Lucky? Why?" And then right there, in a hospital room with scattered pills still on the floor and security guards filling the hallway and half the hospital watching, Donna Isabella Romano spoke the words that changed everything. "Because from today you are my daughter-in-law." The room went silent. Completely, absolutely silent. Sophia's brain stopped working. What?" Marco choked on air. "Mama, you can't just—" "Quiet," she snapped, not taking her eyes off Sophia. "This girl risked everything to save my life. That makes her family. Fate chose her. I accept her." But Sophia tried. Don't argue, Donna Isabella said firmly. You saved my life. In my world, that creates a bond deeper than blood, and I see it in you. The strength, the courage, the pure heart. You are exactly what this family needs. Marco stared at his mother, stunned beyond words. You can't just decide someone is my wife because she saved you. I can do whatever I want, Donna Isabella said imperiously. I'm old, I nearly died, and my instincts are never wrong. Sophia stood up, hands raised. Ma'am, I deeply appreciate your gratitude, truly. But I didn't save you to get married. I saved you because it was the right thing to do, because you're a human being who deserved to live. Donna Isabella's eyes softened in a way that made her look a decade younger. Child, you did more for me in 5 minutes than people who claim to be family have done in years. Do you know how rare that is in my world? I don't know anything about your world, Sophia said desperately. I'm a nurse. I have student loans. I share an apartment with my younger brother. I take the bus to work. I don't belong in... She gestured vaguely at the expensive suits, the guards, the obvious wealth and power radiating from these people. In this, you belong exactly where fate puts you, Donna Isabella said. And fate put you in my room at the exact moment I needed you. Marco dragged his mother aside, speaking in rapid Italian. Sophia caught words like impossible and dangerous, and she doesn't understand. Donna Isabella responded with equal intensity, words like destiny and finally, and don't be stupid. It was surreal. Sophia stood there, still in her work scrubs, surrounded by Mafia bodyguards, being declared the future daughter-in-law of a woman she'd met 30 minutes ago. Her phone buzzed, a text from her brother Luca. When are you home? I'm starving. Reality crashed back. She had a life, a real life, a normal life. I need to go, Sophia said, interrupting the Italian argument. My shift ended 10 minutes ago. My brother is waiting. I have to... You can't leave, Marco said, his voice brooking no argument. What? The man who tried to kill my mother is still out there, Marco explained. He knows someone interfered. It won't take long for him to identify you. And when he does what? Sophia's voice rose with panic. I'm just a nurse. I don't know anything. I'm not involved in your family business or wars or whatever this is. You became involved the second you knocked those pills out of that doctor's hand, Marco said, not unkindly. You're a witness. You can identify him. You stopped a paid assassination. In my world, that makes you a liability to whoever hired him. They'll come for you. Sophia felt the blood drain from her face. Come for me? To do what? To silence you, Marco said bluntly. Permanently. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Sophia's hands went numb. I just wanted to help, she whispered. I know, Marco said, and his voice gentled. And because you did, I need to protect you. Please, come with us, just until we find out who's behind this and eliminate the threat. Eliminate? Sophia didn't want to know what that meant. She looked at Donna Isabella, who nodded solemnly. He's right, child. You're in danger now. Not because of anything you did wrong, but because you did something right in a world where that makes you a target. Sophia thought of Luca, of their tiny apartment, of their mother working double shifts. My family will be protected, Marco said immediately. Give me their information. I'll have guards on them within the hour. Guards? On my family? This was insane. This was absolutely insane. But looking at Marco's face, at the deadly seriousness there, Sophia believed him. She was in real danger, and so was everyone she loved. Okay, she whispered, just until it's safe. Then I go back to my life. Agreed, Marco said, though something in his mother's smile suggested she had different ideas about Sophia's future. Sophia had never been in a car this expensive. The leather still smelled new. The air was cool and filtered. The windows were tinted so dark the city outside became something distant and unreal. She clutched her hospital badge in her hands and stared at the skyline as it rolled by. What am I doing? She whispered under her breath. Marco sat beside her, suit jacket off now, sleeves rolled up, revealing tanned forearms. He looked less like a crime prince and more like an exhausted man in his early 30s who had forgotten how to relax. Donna Isabella sat in front, refusing to let anyone else take the passenger seat. She kept turning around to check on Sofia like an overexcited aunt. "You're pale," she said. "Are you hurt anywhere else? Your hands? Your arms?" "I'm okay, Signora," Sofia replied. "Just processing." "Processing," Marco sighed. "Mama, you're overwhelming her. She needs to know she's safe," Donna Isabella shot back. "She needs to feel welcomed. This isn't an interrogation, it's a rescue." "From what?" Sofia asked quietly. "From people who would hurt you to hurt us," Marco said. "The Moretti family has been trying to undermine our operations for months. Killing my mother would have created chaos. A power vacuum. They could have moved in while we were grieving and disorganized." His jaw clenched. "You prevented that." Sofia hugged herself tighter. "I didn't mean to start a war." "You didn't start anything," Marco said firmly. "They did. You just survived it. Now we make sure you keep surviving." The car turned off the main highway and began climbing a winding road lined with tall cypress trees and stone walls. At the top, iron gates opened with a quiet mechanical hum, revealing a sprawling estate that looked like it had been transplanted from a Renaissance painting. The Villa Romano. 3 stories of creamstone and terracotta tiles. Manicured gardens spread out in every direction. Fountains, statuary, an ancient olive grove. And everywhere, men in dark suits moving with quiet purpose. This wasn't just a home, it was a fortress. "This is where you live?" Sofia asked, her voice small. "Family home," Marco said. "For 3 generations. You'll get used to it," Donna Isabella added with a warm smile. Marco coughed pointedly. "Mama." She ignored him. The moment Sofia stepped out of the car, the air changed. Guards paused their patrols. Their eyes tracked her with curiosity and calculation. She didn't fit here in her wrinkled scrubs and worn sneakers. Good. She hadn't come to fit. She'd come because she had no choice. "Don't stare," Marco said calmly to his men. "She's a guest." The way he said guest sounded heavier, like it meant more. The guards bowed their heads respectfully and returned to their posts. "You command them like that?" Sofia whispered. "They work for me," he said simply. "And who do you work for?" she asked. He paused, and for the first time the answer seemed complicated. "For family," he replied eventually. She held his gaze a second longer than she should have. Then an older woman in her 50s, hair neatly pinned, wearing a simple black dress, approached and bowed slightly. "Donna Isabella, Don Marco, welcome home." "Maria," Donna Isabella smiled warmly. "This is Sofia Benedetti. She saved my life today. Treat her as if she's blood." Maria's eyes widened, then softened with understanding. "Of course, Signora. Welcome, Signorina Sofia." "Just Sofia," she replied weakly. "Come inside," Maria said gently. "You must be exhausted." Inside, everything had the quiet polish of old money. Frescoed ceilings, marble floors, oil paintings in gilded frames. Family portraits lined the walls. But someone had also left fresh flowers in vases, a book open on a side table, a sweater draped over a chair. This space was lived in, loved. They led Sofia to a sitting room overlooking the central courtyard where an ancient olive tree stood, gnarled and magnificent. Sliding glass doors, comfortable furniture, warm afternoon light. "Sit," Donna Isabella said, easing herself down with a wince. "Marco, call Dr. Vassallo. I want him to check both of us." "You need rest," Sofia said automatically, her nurse instincts kicking in. "Your heart has been through significant stress today." "So is yours," Donna Isabella countered. "But we're both alive, thanks to you." Marco was already on the phone, speaking rapid Italian. When he hung up, he turned to Sofia. "Our family doctor will be here within the hour. He'll examine my mother and check you for any injuries or shock." "I'm fine," Sofia protested. "You're shaking," Marco observed quietly. Sofia looked down. Her hands were indeed trembling. Delayed adrenaline crash. She'd seen it in patients countless times. Never thought she'd experience it herself. It's been a lot," she admitted. "I know," Marco said, sitting across from her. For the first time since the hospital, his expression softened. "You saved my mother's life. You can't know what that means to me." Before Sophia could respond, Maria returned with food. Not a meal, a feast. Fresh bread still warm from the oven, olive oil, cheeses, cured meats, roasted vegetables, pasta, grilled fish. "I can't eat all this," Sophia protested. "You won't," Donna Isabella said. "We will. Together. You need strength." They ate, and despite her anxiety, Sophia found herself relaxing slightly. The food was incredible. Homemade, clearly made with love. "Where is your family, Sophia?" Donna Isabella asked gently. Sophia swallowed a bite of bread. "My mother works 2 jobs. Housekeeping at a hotel and evening shifts at a laundromat. My little brother Luca, he's 19, trying to finish technical school. We don't have much, but we have each other." "Your father?" "Gone," Sophia said simply. "Left when I was 12. Haven't heard from him since." Donna Isabella's eyes flickered with understanding and old pain. "My husband is gone too," she said quietly. "Killed 7 years ago. Men leave through death or choice, but we women stay and hold what's left together." Sophia looked at her differently then, not just as the fearsome Mafia matriarch, but as a woman who had lost and kept walking. "I'm sorry for your loss," Sophia said softly. "And I'm sorry for yours," Donna Isabella replied. "But you raised yourself and your brother. That takes a special kind of strength." "My mother did most of it," Sophia corrected. "But yes, I helped where I could. Medical school wasn't an option, so I became a nurse. Good job, steady income, I can help Mama and Luca." "And who helps you?" Marco asked quietly. The question caught Sophia off guard. I'm fine. I don't need—" "Everyone needs someone," Donna Isabella interrupted gently. "Even the strong ones. Especially the strong ones." Sophia didn't know what to say to that. Dr. Vassallo arrived, a distinguished man in his 60s with kind eyes and steady hands. He examined Donna Isabella thoroughly, asking questions, checking vitals, his face serious. "You're very lucky," he told her. "If you'd taken those pills, you would have been dead within 20 minutes. Whoever prepared that dosage knew exactly what they were doing." He turned to Sophia. "You saved her life, Signorina, no question." "I was just paying attention," Sophia said, uncomfortable with the praise. "Most people don't," Dr. Vassallo replied. "That's what makes you remarkable." He checked Sophia next. Blood pressure elevated from stress but manageable. Mild shock symptoms. Recommended rest and monitoring. "She'll stay here tonight," Donna Isabella declared. "In the guest wing. Maria, prepare the blue room." "Signora, I should go home," Sophia tried again. "My brother will worry." "Then we'll bring him here," Marco said immediately. "Give me his information. I'll send a car. You can't just kidnap my brother." "It's not kidnapping if we ask nicely," Marco said with the ghost of a smile. "Sophia, please. Until we know who's behind the attack and whether they've identified you, your entire family is at risk. Let me protect you both." Sophia wanted to argue, but she couldn't. He was right. If professional assassins were involved, Luca was in danger just by being related to her. "Okay," she whispered. "But you promise he won't be scared?" "I promise we'll treat him like family," Marco said. Which, given his mother's earlier declaration, technically he was family now. Sophia gave them Luca's information. His school, his usual route home, his phone number. Within minutes, Marco had dispatched his most trusted men with clear instructions. Bring the boy safely, explain the situation gently, no force unless absolutely necessary to protect him. "What do I tell him?" Sophia asked, pulling out her phone. "The truth," Marco said. "That you witnessed something dangerous at work and you're both under protection until the threat is neutralized." Sophia called. Luca answered on the second ring. "Soph, you okay? You sound weird." "I'm fine, Luca. But something happened at the hospital today, something serious." She explained as much as she could without terrifying him. An incident, a patient, a threat, protection needed. Men coming to get him. Men? What men? "Sophia, what the hell is going on?" "I'll explain everything when you get here," Sophia said. "Please, just trust me. Go with them. They'll bring you somewhere safe." "Somewhere safe?" "Sophia, you're scaring me." "I know. I'm sorry. But I need you to trust me, okay? I love you." A pause. Heavy breathing. Then, Okay, but when I get there, you better tell me everything. I will, I promise. She hung up and looked at Marco. He's going to have about 1,000,000 questions. I'd expect nothing less from someone related to you, Marco said. Donna Isabella stood, stretching carefully. I'm going to rest before dinner. Sophia, you should too. Maria will show you to your room. I'm not really tired, Sophia lied. She was exhausted but too wired to sleep. Then rest anyway, Donna Isabella said. Doctor's orders. And I'm a patient, so you have to listen to me. Despite everything, Sophia smiled. That's not how it works. It is now, Donna Isabella said with a wink. Then she cupped Sophia's face gently. You gave me my life back today, child. I don't take that lightly. Whatever happens next, you will always have a place in this family, always. Tears pricked Sophia's eyes. She blinked them back. Thank you, Signora. Call me Isabella, or Mama, if you prefer. She smiled. After all, you're going to be my daughter-in-law. Mama. Marco groaned. What? I'm old. I can say what I want. She swept out of the room, leaving Sophia and Marco alone. An awkward silence stretched between them. Finally, Marco spoke. I apologize for my mother. She's intense. She's grieving and traumatized and trying to control what she can, Sophia said. I understand that. You do? I'm a nurse. I see it all the time. When people face death, they grab onto life harder. They make declarations. They try to fix things. She's processing. Marco studied her with new appreciation. You're very observant. It's my job. Still, he said quietly. Thank you for understanding her. Most people just find her frightening. She is frightening, Sophia said honestly. But she's also clearly someone who loves deeply. That's not something to fear. Marco's expression shifted into something Sophia couldn't quite read. Respect, maybe. Or surprise. You're not what I expected, he said. What did you expect? Someone more impressed by all this. He gestured at the villa, the obvious wealth. Someone who would use the situation to their advantage. I don't want to use anything, Sophia said firmly. I want my life back. My normal, boring, bill-paying life where the most exciting thing is whether the hospital cafeteria has decent coffee. I'll try to return you to that life as quickly as possible, Marco said. But something in his tone suggested he wasn't entirely sure that was possible anymore. Maria appeared in the doorway. Signorina, your room is ready. Sophia followed her up a grand staircase, down a hallway lined with more family portraits, to a bedroom that was easily twice the size of her entire apartment. Tall windows, a massive bed with silk sheets, an ensuite bathroom with marble everything. This is too much, Sophia breathed. Donna Isabella insisted, Maria said kindly. There are clothes in the armoire. I guessed your size, but if anything doesn't fit, let me know. You didn't have to. It's no trouble, dear. Rest now. I'll wake you for dinner. Maria left, closing the door softly. Alone, Sophia sank onto the bed and finally let herself feel everything. Fear, confusion, exhaustion. The weight of what had happened crashed down on her. She'd saved a life. She'd stumbled into a Mafia war. She'd been declared someone's future wife. Her brother was being brought to a compound surrounded by armed guards. Her normal life had detonated in the space of a few hours. And the worst part? Despite the insanity, despite the danger, when Marco had promised to protect her, she'd believed him, trusted him, a man she'd known for less than 3 hours. That should have terrified her more than anything else. It did terrify her, but it also felt right in a way she couldn't explain. Sophia lay back on the softest bed she'd ever felt and stared at the frescoed ceiling. Angels and clouds and blue sky. She thought about fate, about the chain of coincidences that had put her in that hospital hallway at that exact moment, about how one decision to check a medication chart had altered everything. What have I gotten myself into? She whispered to the painted angels. They didn't answer. Outside her window, guards patrolled the grounds. Somewhere below, Marco was probably strategizing with his men. And in another wing, Donna Isabella rested, alive because Sophia had trusted her instincts. The nurse closed her eyes and hoped morning would bring clarity. It wouldn't, but she didn't know that yet. Sophia woke to shouting outside her door, male voices, one young and furious. She bolted upright, disoriented. The sun had set. She'd slept for hours. The shouting grew louder. "I don't care who you people are. Where is my sister?" "Luca." Sophia threw open the door and ran down the hallway barefoot. In the main foyer, her brother stood surrounded by 4 bodyguards, fists clenched, face red with protective anger. "Luca!" Sophia called. He spun. "Sophia!" He pushed past the guards and grabbed her, checking her over frantically. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you? What the hell is going on?" "I'm fine," she assured him, hugging him tight. "I promise. Let me explain." Marco appeared at the top of the stairs, descending with that predatory grace. Luca immediately stepped in front of Sophia. You're the one who sent men to grab me. To bring you safely," Marco corrected calmly. "There's a difference. There's no difference when men in suits show up and say my sister's in danger." Luca's voice cracked. He was 19 but looked younger right now, scared and trying to hide it. Sophia pulled him aside, into a quiet sitting room. "Luca, listen. Something happened at the hospital today, something bad." She told him everything. The poisoned medication, Donna Isabella, the assassination attempt, the Moretti family, the danger. When she finished, Luca sank into a chair. "Madonna Santa," he breathed. "Sophia, you can't stay here. These people are keeping me alive," she interrupted. "Which is more than I can say for what will happen if I leave." "Then we go to the police," Luca insisted. Marco, who had been standing in the doorway, made a sound that might have been a laugh. "The police? Half are on someone's payroll. The other half won't touch family business." Luca glared at him. "So we're just supposed to trust you?" "You don't have to trust me," Marco said evenly. "But you should trust that I protect what's mine. Your sister saved my mother. That makes her family." "She's not your family," Luca shot back. "She's mine." "Then we agree on something," Marco replied. "We both want her safe." Sophia stepped between them before it could escalate. "Luca, I know this is scary, but he's right. Someone tried to kill Donna Isabella. I stopped it. That makes me a witness and a problem to whoever hired the assassin. I can't just go home and pretend nothing happened." "Then we leave the city," Luca said desperately. "We go to Mama's cousin in Napoli. We disappear." "And put them in danger too?" Sophia asked gently. "Luca, if these people are as dangerous as Marco says, running won't help. It'll just make us easier targets." Her brother looked at her, then at Marco, then back at her. "You trust him?" he asked quietly. Sophia thought about Marco's face at the hospital. The raw panic when he thought his mother was hurt. The way he'd looked at Sophia, not with suspicion or calculation, but with gratitude. "I don't know him," she said honestly, "but I don't feel unsafe around him." Luca exhaled slowly. "Fine, but I'm staying too." "No," Sophia said immediately. "Yes," Luca countered. "You think I'm leaving you here alone? Absolutely not. He can stay." Donna Isabella's voice came from the doorway. She entered looking refreshed from her nap. "We have plenty of room, and I'd like to get to know both of you better." Luca stared at the older woman. "You're her, the one Sophia saved." "I am," Donna Isabella said warmly. "And you must be Luca. Your sister speaks very highly of you." "She didn't mention you were Mafia royalty," Luca muttered. "Would it have changed how she saved my life?" Donna Isabella asked. Luca paused. "No, she'd save anyone." "Exactly," Donna Isabella smiled. "That's what makes her special." Over dinner, an elaborate affair that Maria had prepared, the tension slowly eased. Luca asked a million questions. Marco answered with surprising patience. What was the family business? Logistics, shipping, some real estate. How dangerous were the Morettis? Very. They've been trying to take our territory for years. Why try to kill Donna Isabella? To weaken me. Without my mother, they thought I'd be vulnerable. But you're not, Luca observed. No, Marco said simply. I'm not. After dinner, Marco pulled Sophia aside. We need to talk about what happens next. They walked out to the courtyard, where the ancient olive tree stood illuminated by soft lights. Guards patrolled the perimeter but gave them space. The man who impersonated Dr. Russo, Marco began. We found him. Sophia's stomach twisted. Found him? Where? Trying to leave the country. My men intercepted him at the train station. Marco's voice was cold. He talked, eventually. What did he say? Sophia wasn't sure she wanted to know. The Moretti family hired him, paid him 50,000 euros to eliminate my mother. Make it look like natural causes. They've been planning this for months. So now you have proof, Sophia said. What happens now? Now we respond, Marco said. Carefully, strategically, but we respond. That sounds like you're planning something dangerous. Everything I do is dangerous, he said. Then softer. But I won't let them hurt you, that's a promise. Sophia wrapped her arms around herself. The night air was cool. I keep thinking, what if I hadn't checked that chart? What if I'd just followed the order like a good nurse? But you didn't, Marco said, stepping closer. You questioned, you investigated, you acted. That's not being a good nurse, Sophia. That's being an extraordinary person. She looked up at him. In the soft light, he looked less like a mafia boss and more like a man carrying the weight of the world. You don't know me well enough to say that. I know you risked everything to save a stranger, he said quietly. I know you put yourself between my mother and death without hesitation. I know your first concern after being told you're in danger was your family's safety, not your own. That tells me everything I need to know. Sophia's breath caught. Marco, I'm not my mother, he interrupted. I'm not declaring you my future wife and expecting you to just accept it. But I am saying that from the moment I saw you in that hospital room, something changed. I don't have a word for it yet. That's not how this works, Sophia whispered. You don't just meet someone and feel, and yet we do, he said. Both of us. Tell me I'm wrong. She couldn't, because he wasn't. Something had sparked between them in that hospital room. Something neither of them could explain or control. This is insane, she managed. Yes, he agreed. But it's also real. Before she could respond, one of his men approached rapidly. Capo, we have movement. Moretti's men were spotted near the hospital. They're looking for information about who interfered with their plan. Marco's expression went cold. Did they get anything? Not yet. Hospital administration is refusing to cooperate. But it's only a matter of time. Double the guards here, Marco ordered. No one in or out without my approval. And find out who in the hospital might talk. The man nodded and left. Marco turned back to Sophia, his jaw tight. They're looking for you. How long before they find out it was me? She asked, fear creeping in. Maybe a day, maybe less. Hospital staff will remember seeing you run to that room. Someone will talk, either willingly or under pressure. So what do I do? You stay here, Marco said firmly, behind these walls, with my men protecting you, until I end this. End it how? However I have to, he said, and the coldness in his voice made Sophia shiver. This was the Mafia boss, the man who commanded fear and respect, the man who would do whatever necessary to protect his family. And apparently, she was family now. I don't want anyone to get hurt because of me, Sophia said quietly. People were always going to get hurt, Marco replied. The Moretti started this war. You just gave me a reason to finish it faster. He reached out, hesitated, then gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was so tender, it made Sophia's heart ache. Go inside. Rest. Tomorrow things get more complicated. More complicated than today? She asked weakly. Much more, he said. But the way he said it almost sounded like a promise. Sophia returned to her room, but sleep wouldn't come. She stood on the balcony watching the grounds. Guards everywhere, lights sweeping the perimeter. This beautiful villa was also a prison. A gilded, comfortable prison, but a prison nonetheless. A soft knock on her door. It's Maria, came the gentle voice. May I come in? Yes, Sophia called. Maria entered with chamomile tea and a warm smile. I thought you might need this. First nights in new places are always hard. Thank you. Sophia took the tea gratefully. Maria, can I ask you something? Of course, dear. How long have you worked for the Romano family? 32 years, Maria said. I started when Don Marco's father was still alive. I've watched Marco grow from a boy into the man he is now. What was he like? Before? Sophia asked. Maria's expression softened with old memories. Softer. He laughed more, loved music and art. He wanted to study architecture, build beautiful things. What changed? Sophia knew the answer but needed to hear it. His father was killed. Marco was 23, barely a man himself. Suddenly he had to lead the family, make impossible choices, become hard or be destroyed. Maria sighed. He did what he had to do, but something in him closed off. He stopped letting people close, stopped trusting easily. Until now? Sophia guessed. Maria smiled. Until you. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you, Signorina. Like you're the first light after a very long darkness. We just met, Sophia protested weakly. Some connections don't need time, Maria said wisely. They just are. Like how I knew my husband was the one after one conversation. 40 years of marriage proved me right. This is different. His mother declared me his future wife because I saved her life. That's not how love works. No, Maria agreed. But sometimes it's how it starts. She patted Sophia's hand. Sleep, dear. Tomorrow will bring what it brings. You'll face it better rested. After Maria left, Sophia lay in bed staring at the ceiling again. She thought about Marco's face in the garden, the way he'd touched her hair, the promise in his voice. She thought about Donna Isabella's declaration, about fate and choice and the impossible situation she'd stumbled into. She thought about how one decision to check a medication chart had changed absolutely everything. And as she finally drifted off to sleep, her last thought was that maybe, just maybe, some part of her didn't want to go back to her normal life. Maybe some part of her wanted to stay in this dangerous, impossible world. Because of him. That thought should have terrified her. It did terrify her, but it also felt true. Outside, Marco stood in his office looking at security footage of the hospital, watching Sophia run down that hallway, watching her burst into his mother's room, watching her save the only family he had left. I won't let them touch you, he murmured to the screen. Whatever it takes. His second-in-command, Antonio, entered without knocking. We have a problem, Capo. What kind? The kind where the Morettis just put a price on the nurse's head. 100,000 euros for information leading to her location. Marco's blood went cold. When? An hour ago. Every street informant in the city will be looking for her. Marco's hands curled into fists. Then we make it very clear what happens to anyone who tries to collect. What are your orders? Antonio asked. Marco's eyes were ice. Send a message to Don Moretti. Tell him if anyone touches Sofia Benedetti, I will burn his entire organization to the ground. Starting with his family. That's a declaration of war, Capo. We're already at war, Marco said coldly. They just don't know they've already lost. He looked back at the frozen image of Sofia on the screen. This brave, reckless, beautiful woman who'd stepped into his world by accident and changed everything. Double the guards, triple them. I want eyes on every entrance to this property. No one gets in. And Sofia doesn't leave these grounds. Not until every Moretti is eliminated or in the ground. Understood, Antonio said. One more thing, Capo. Your mother asked me to give you this. He handed over a small velvet box. Marco opened it. Inside was his grandmother's ring. A simple gold band with a single perfect diamond. She's already planning the wedding, Antonio said with the ghost of a smile. Marco should have been annoyed. Instead, he found himself staring at the ring, imagining it on Sofia's finger. She's insane, he muttered. She's also never wrong about people, Antonio pointed out. You said so yourself. Marco closed the box. Get out. Yes, Capo. Antonio left, still smiling. Alone, Marco opened the box again. The ring caught the light, sparkling. His grandmother had worn it for 53 years. His mother had kept it safe, waiting for the right woman. I just met her, Marco said to the empty room. But even as he said it, he knew it didn't matter. Time was irrelevant. What he felt was real, and he would kill anyone who tried to take her from him. For 3 days, the Romano estate pulsed with tension Sofia couldn't name. Guards doubled at every entrance. Phones buzzed in every hallway. Marco disappeared into late-night meetings that left him looking more exhausted each morning. Donna Isabella kept rosary beads wrapped around her fingers, a habit she only had when something was very, very wrong. Sophia felt it all without anyone telling her a thing. Something had shifted in their world and she was at the center. It happened at dawn on the fourth day. Sophia walked downstairs for water, bleary-eyed, hair a mess, wearing borrowed sweatpants and an oversized shirt. She wasn't expecting to find a man in a dark suit standing in the living room. He wasn't a guard she recognized. His eyes flicked to her, cold, sharp, assessing. "You must be the nurse," he said slowly. "The reason the young master is making unusual decisions." Sophia's grip on her glass tightened. "Who are you?" He smirked. "Someone who remembers when this family made decisions with their heads, not their hearts. You should be careful, Signorina. Not everyone in this house thinks your presence is a blessing." Before she could respond, a voice cut through the room like a blade. "Step away from her." Marco. He stood at the top of the stairs, jaw clenched, eyes like winter steel. The suited man bowed stiffly. "Don Marco, I was simply introducing myself." "No," Marco said coldly, descending. "You were intimidating her. Try that again and you won't be allowed inside these walls." The man's eyes flickered with something dangerous. Then he bowed again and walked out. Sophia exhaled shakily. "Who was that?" "Someone who forgets his place," Marco muttered. "He won't speak to you again." She watched him move closer, noticing the tension in every step, the exhaustion, the weight. "You barely slept," she whispered. "I'm working on something," he said. "What?" He hesitated, then said the last thing she expected. The assassination attempt wasn't random. Someone inside the hospital was paid to give the Morettis access to my mother's schedule and room. Sophia's stomach dropped. "You mean someone we work with?" "Yes. And they're still there. Still watching. Still reporting." Her pulse hammered. "So they know I stopped it. They know my face." "Yes," he said quietly. She felt the blood drain from her face. "Then I can't ever go back to work, to my life. They'll be waiting." "Not if I eliminate the threat first," Marco said. His hand touched her shoulder, steadying. "Sophia, I won't let them touch you. That's a promise." That afternoon, Sophia found Donna Isabella in the courtyard garden, pulling weeds with unnerving focus. The older woman didn't look up when she spoke. "They want me dead," she said calmly. And when they failed, they looked for another weakness. She turned, eyes blazing. "You," Sophia swallowed. "I didn't ask to be part of this." "I know," Donna Isabella said, voice softening. "You were living your life, caring for patients, taking care of your brother. You didn't ask for this world." She stood, brushing dirt from her hands. "But fate doesn't ask. It chooses. And it chose you." "Why me?" Sophia whispered. Donna Isabella touched her cheek with surprising gentleness. "Because my son looks at you the way a man looks at his first sunrise after years of darkness." Sophia froze. "I didn't come here to become anything to him. I didn't come to complicate his life. You didn't complicate it," Donna Isabella said firmly. "You saved it, mine and his, more than you know." Sophia shook her head. "I don't belong here. This world terrifies me." "It should," Donna Isabella agreed. "But terror and courage often live in the same heart. And you, child? You have more courage than you know." "I'm not strong enough for this," Sophia whispered. "Oh, Sophia," Donna Isabella said gently. "Strength isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just choosing to stay when everything in you wants to run." She gripped Sophia's hands. "And you stayed." Sophia didn't know what broke her more. The fear, or the way this woman made her feel like she mattered. It happened when the sun began to set. Sophia was in the garden watering herbs that Maria said Marco liked in his food. She didn't examine why she cared. As she bent to water the basil, she heard a sound. A hiss. A click. Something metallic hitting stone. Sophia froze. A small black device rolled to a stop near her foot. Not a weapon. A listening device. Someone had thrown a tracker into the estate. Before she could scream, a hand grabbed her shoulder. She gasped. A figure in black yanked her backward, his arm locking around her waist. A masked man moving fast, dragging her toward the wall. Before he could get far, a gunshot cracked the air. Bang! The masked man jerked, stumbled, dropped Sophia and vanished into the hedges. Sophia fell to her knees, heart in her throat, unable to breathe. Marco sprinted from the house, gun raised, eyes wild. "Sophia!" He slid beside her, hands flying to her shoulders, her face checking for injuries. "Did he touch you? Did he hurt you?" "Sophia, look at me." I think he tried to grab me," she gasped, shaking violently. Marco's face transformed into something she'd only seen in nightmares. Pure, controlled rage. Rage at himself. Rage at whoever dared come near her. He pulled her into his chest without hesitation. Not romantic. Not careful. Just desperate. "You're safe," he murmured over and over. "I've got you. I'm here." She clung to him, fingers gripping his shirt, breath coming in sharp gasps. Guards surrounded them within seconds. Donna Isabella rushed out, eyes wide with fear. "What happened? What?" "Someone tried to take her," Marco said through clenched teeth, still holding Sophia. His mother's expression changed like a storm overtaking clear sky. "Over my dead body," she hissed. She crouched beside Sophia, cupping her face. "Child, look at me." Sophia did, tears streaming. "They won't stop," Donna Isabella said, voice soft but lethal. "They thought they could use you against us. They thought you were weak." Her eyes burned. They were wrong. Sophia trembled harder. "Why won't they leave me alone?" Marco's arms tightened. "Because you're important to me," he said before he could stop himself. Silence exploded between them. Sophia's breath hitched. Donna Isabella's eyebrows rose, but she smiled fiercely. "There it is," she murmured. "Finally." Marco helped Sophia to her feet, guiding her inside with a hand on her back. "I'm taking you somewhere safer." "This house isn't safe?" she whispered weakly. "It is, but you're not sleeping alone tonight." She stumbled. "What?" "I'll stay outside your door," he said quickly. "I won't enter. I'll just make sure nothing gets within 10 feet of you." "That's not necessary." "It is," he said, and his tone wasn't cold Mafia command. It was fear. Real fear. Fear of losing her. Donna Isabella placed a hand on her son's arm. "Marco, you can't protect her like this forever. You have to sleep. You have to—" "I will protect her any way I must," he cut her off. "You can't fight the whole Moretti family alone." "Watch me," he said flatly. Sophia stepped between them, her voice soft but holding something new. Courage born from necessity. "Marco," she whispered, "you can't destroy your life because I got pulled into it." "You didn't get pulled into it," he said sharply. "You were targeted because of me. And I'm still here," she replied quietly. He froze. "I'm still here," she repeated. "And I'm not running away." Marco's jaw clenched, throat tight. He'd faced death without flinching. He'd lost men, fought wars, buried friends. But this, a nurse looking him in the eye and saying she wouldn't leave, it undid him completely. He reached for her hand, not forcefully, not possessively, just gently, as if she were something precious he'd just realized he was allowed to want. Sophia let him hold it. Donna Isabella watched with satisfaction so deep it erased every line of worry on her face. "I knew it," she whispered. Fate brought her. Later that night, after the guards tripled and the estate went into lockdown, Marco stood outside Sophia's door. He knew she couldn't hear him through the thick wood, but he spoke anyway. "You're not alone," he whispered. Inside, Sophia sat on the bed's edge, hand pressed against her racing heart. She didn't know where this path led, but she knew one thing. She was no longer the nurse who saved strangers and went home to her tiny apartment. She was now the woman a Mafia family would kill to protect. The woman someone tried to abduct. The woman who was becoming, slowly, quietly, part of Marco Romano's world. And tonight she realized something she'd been too scared to admit. She didn't want to disappear from his world. She wanted to stay, even if it terrified her. The thought should have sent her running. Instead, it rooted her deeper. Outside, Marco leaned against the wall, eyes closed, hand on his gun. "I won't let them touch you," he murmured into the darkness. "Whatever it takes." The Romano estate didn't sleep that night. Calls flew across encrypted lines. Alliances were questioned. Loyalties were tested. And through it all, one truth settled over the house like gathering storm clouds. Whoever went after Sofia had declared war, not just on the Romanos, on whatever softer future they were trying to build. Marco sat in his office at 3 a.m. staring at security footage. The masked man who'd grabbed Sofia, the listening device, the coordinated timing. This wasn't random. This was planned, calculated, personal. Antonio entered without knocking. We identified him. Moretti hired gun, ex-military. They paid him 20,000 euros to grab the nurse. Marco's blood turned to ice. And he's in the wind. Escaped before our men could catch him. But Capo, Antonio hesitated. What? The Morettis are getting bold. They know she's here. They know you're protecting her. And they've put out word on the street. 100,000 euros for anyone who can give them information on how to breach this estate. Marco stood slowly, a predator uncoiling. They're coming for her. Yes. Then we go to them first, Marco said, voice deadly calm. What are your orders? Call a meeting. Neutral ground. Tomorrow night. I want Don Moretti and his sons there. That's dangerous, Capo. They'll be expecting. Let them expect, Marco interrupted. This ends tomorrow. One way or another. Antonio bowed and left. Alone, Marco pulled out the velvet box his mother had given him, his grandmother's ring. He opened it, stared at the diamond-catching lamplight. He'd known Sofia for less than a week. It was insane. It was impossible. It was also the most certain thing he'd ever felt. Tomorrow, he promised the ring. I end this. And then, he didn't finish the thought. But the ring stayed on his desk, a promise waiting to be made. The next day moved like honey, thick and slow. Sofia could feel the tension vibrating through every wall. Marco was gone before sunrise, preparing for something he wouldn't tell her about. Donna Isabella sat in the chapel, praying with an intensity that made Sofia's chest ache. Even Luca felt it. Something's happening tonight, he said quietly. Something big. I know, Sofia whispered. They were in the garden, the place she'd almost been taken. Marco had insisted she stay inside, but she needed air, needed to feel something other than trapped. What do you think he's going to do? Luca asked. Whatever he has to, Sofia said. To protect his family. You mean to protect you? Luca corrected gently. Sofia didn't deny it. Because it was true. Marco was walking into danger tonight because of her. Because she'd saved his mother. Because somehow, impossibly, she'd become someone he couldn't lose. I never wanted this, she said quietly. I just wanted to save a life. You did more than that, Luca said. You changed one. The sun set blood red over the hills. Marco returned at dusk, dressed in all black, face set like stone. He found Sofia in the sitting room staring at nothing. I need to go out tonight, he said without preamble. Where? She asked, though she knew he wouldn't tell her. To end this. The words hung heavy between them. Sofia stood. End it how? However I have to, he replied. Then softer. But I need you to promise me something. What? Stay here. Don't leave these walls. Don't go near the gates, no matter what you hear. His eyes burned into hers. Promise me. Marco, you're scaring me. Good, he said. You should be scared. Because if something happens to me tonight, don't. Sofia cut him off, her voice breaking. Don't say that. If something happens, he continued firmly, Antonio will get you and your family out of Italy. New identities. New life. Somewhere the Morettis can't find you. Stop, Sofia said, tears burning. Just stop. You're not going to die. How do you know? He asked quietly. Because I won't let you, she said fiercely. She grabbed his face, forced him to look at her. You don't get to walk into my life, make me care about you, and then throw yourself at death like it doesn't matter. Sofia. No, she said. You listen to me, Marco Romano. You come back tonight. You hear me? You come back. Something in his expression shattered. The careful control, the distance, the walls he'd built for years. All of it crumbled. Sofia, he breathed, and pulled her into his arms. Not gentle, not careful, desperate, like she was oxygen, and he was drowning. I'll come back, he whispered into her hair. I swear it. I'll come back to you. She pulled back just enough to see his face. Why? She whispered. Why does it matter so much? We barely know each other. Because, he said, touching her cheek with infinite gentleness, you're the first person in 10 years who looked at me and saw a man instead of a monster. The first person who made me want to be better than what this world demands. Marco, she whispered, his name a prayer. When I get back, he said, voice rough with emotion, I'm going to ask you something important, and I need you to think about your answer while I'm gone. What question? But he was already pulling away, already putting the mask back on. The Mafia boss. The killer. The protector. Wait for me, he said. Then he was gone. Sofia stood in the empty room, heart pounding, tears streaming. Donna Isabella appeared beside her, silent as a ghost. He loves you, the older woman said simply. He doesn't know me well enough to— Love doesn't ask for time, Donna Isabella interrupted. It simply is. Like how I knew my husband was my destiny after one dance. Like how I knew you were meant for my son the moment you threw yourself between me and death. What if he doesn't come back? Sofia whispered. He will, Donna Isabella said with absolute certainty. Because now he has something to come back to. The hours crawled. 8 p.m. 9. 10. Sofia couldn't sit still, couldn't eat, couldn't breathe properly. Luca played cards with her to distract them both, but neither could focus. Midnight came and went. At 1 a.m., Sofia heard it. Cars. Multiple cars, engines roaring up the drive. She ran to the window. The black Mercedes, Marco's car. Her heart leaped into her throat. The car stopped. The door opened, and Marco stepped out. Alive, whole, exhausted but unharmed. Sofia didn't think, she just ran. Down the stairs, through the foyer, out the front door. Marco! He turned just as she crashed into him. He caught her, arms wrapping tight, lifting her off her feet. I'm here, he murmured. I'm here. I told you I'd come back. She pulled back, checking him frantically. Are you hurt? Did they— I'm fine, he assured her. It's over, Sofia. It's done. The Morettis? Neutralized, he said. We reached an agreement, enforced by people even they can't refuse. They won't touch you. They won't touch my family, it's over. Sofia's knees went weak with relief. Marco held her steady, his hands warm and solid on her waist. You kept your promise, she whispered. I always will, he replied. Donna Isabella watched from the doorway, tears streaming down her face, hands clasped in thanks. Antonio stood nearby, a rare smile on his weathered face. Even the guards looked relieved. Their boss had returned victorious. The war was over. Marco pulled back slightly, his eyes searching Sofia's face. I need to ask you something. Now? She laughed through tears. Now, he said. Then to her shock, he dropped to one knee right there in the courtyard, guards and family watching. Marco, what are you? Sofia Benedetti, he said, voice steady, despite the exhaustion, despite the night he'd just survived. 1 week ago, you walked into my mother's hospital room and saved her life. In doing so, you saved mine too. Sofia's hands flew to her mouth. You stepped into danger for a stranger. You faced assassins and threats and a world you never asked to be part of. And through it all, you never stopped being exactly who you are. Brave, compassionate, strong. His voice roughened. You made me remember what it feels like to want something more than survival. You made me want a future. Marco, she whispered, tears flowing freely now. I know it's fast. I know it's insane. I know we have so much to learn about each other. He pulled out a velvet box, opened it to reveal a simple, perfect diamond ring. But I also know that I love you, that I want to build a life with you, that I want to be the man you see when you look at me. So I'm asking, he continued, eyes locked on hers, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that fate was right to bring you to us? Sofia couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, could only feel her heart expanding until it felt too big for her chest. You love me? She finally whispered. Desperately, he said without hesitation. Since the moment I saw you standing in that hospital room, looking at me without fear, just with those eyes so full of life and caring. I've been falling ever since." Sophia dropped to her knees in front of him, taking his face in her hands. "I don't know how this happened," she said. "I don't know how 1 week could change everything." "Does it matter?" he asked. "No," she realized. "It doesn't, because I feel it too. This impossible, terrifying, beautiful thing." She laughed, crying, overwhelmed. "I love you too, Marco. I don't know when it happened, but I do." His eyes closed briefly, like he'd been holding his breath for days and could finally exhale. "Is that a yes?" "Only if you promise me something," she said. "Anything. Promise me that no matter how dark it gets, you'll never shut me out. That if I'm going to be part of this world, you let me in completely. All of it. The good and the terrible." He gripped her hands. "I promise. On everything I have. On my father's grave. I will never shut you out." "Then yes," Sophia said, laughing and crying at once. "Yes, I'll marry you." The courtyard erupted. Donna Isabella let out a joyful sob. Luca whooped. The guards applauded. Antonio smiled broadly. Marco slipped the ring onto Sophia's finger. It fit perfectly, like it had been waiting for her. Then he pulled her close and kissed her. Not desperate like before, not rushed, just perfect. A kiss that tasted like promises and future and home. When they finally pulled apart, Donna Isabella descended on them, pulling Sophia into a fierce embrace. "I knew it," she said. "The moment you saved me, I knew. Fate brought you to us. Thank you," Sophia whispered. "For seeing me, for claiming me, for making me family." "You were always family," Donna Isabella said. "You just needed time to realize it." The celebration moved inside. Food appeared as if by magic. Wine flowed. Luca cornered Marco with a pointed finger. "You hurt my sister, and I don't care how many guards you have." Marco, to his credit, nodded seriously. "I'd expect nothing less. If I ever hurt her, you have my permission." Later, after the excitement calmed, Sophia found Marco on the terrace overlooking the gardens. She slipped her hand into his. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," he said. "We plan a wedding. We build a life. We figure out how to merge your normal world with mine." "Will I go back to nursing?" she asked. "If you want to," he said. "Though perhaps at a different hospital, somewhere safer." "I'll miss my patients," she admitted. "Then we'll find a way," Marco said. "Maybe a private practice, maybe consulting. We'll figure it out together." Together. The word wrapped around Sophia like a warm blanket. "Your mother is going to plan an enormous wedding, isn't she?" Sophia said. "Undoubtedly," Marco smiled. "We could elope. She'd never forgive us." "True." They stood in comfortable silence, the ring catching starlight on Sophia's finger. "Marco?" "Yes?" "Thank you for coming back tonight." He turned her to face him, his expression serious. "I will always come back to you, Sophia. Always. That's my vow. Long before any priest says words over us, that's my vow." She kissed him softly. "And I'll always be here when you do." "That's mine." Months later, the wedding took place in the villa's garden under the ancient olive tree. Small, intimate, just family and closest friends. Sophia wore a simple white dress. Marco wore a suit that made him look less like a mafia boss and more like a man utterly in love. Donna Isabella cried through the entire ceremony. Luca gave Sophia away, whispering, "He better make you happy, or I don't care how scary he is." Marco heard it and smiled. "I plan to spend every day trying." When the priest asked if they took each other, both answered without hesitation, "I do." The kiss was sweet and earned applause that echoed off the villa walls. At the reception, Donna Isabella stood to give a toast. "Everyone told me I was crazy," she began, "claiming a stranger as my daughter-in-law because she saved my life. But I knew. I knew what I saw in Sophia. Courage, heart, the kind of strength that doesn't announce itself but simply acts when action is needed." She raised her glass. "And I knew what I saw in my son's eyes when he looked at her. Hope. For the first time in years, hope. To Sophia and Marco," she declared. "May your love be as strong as the day it began, and may you always run toward each other, never away." "Salute," everyone echoed. As the sun set, Sophia and Marco danced under fairy lights strung through the olive tree's branches. Happy, he murmured against her hair. Terrified, she admitted. But yes, happy. Why terrified? Because I love you so much it's frightening. Because I never knew I could feel this way. She looked up at him. Because one decision to check a medication chart changed my entire life. Do you regret it? He asked. Not for a second, she said. Even with the danger? The fear? This world? Especially with all that, Sophia said. Because it brought me you, and your mother, and a family I didn't know I needed. Marco kissed her forehead. I don't deserve you. Probably not, she teased. But you're stuck with me now. Forever, he agreed. Forever. A year later, Sophia stood in the garden watering herbs while her hand rested on her swelling belly. 6 months pregnant, glowing despite the summer heat. Marco appeared behind her, wrapping arms around her carefully. You should be resting. I'm pregnant, not broken, she said. Tell that to my mother, he said. She's already planning the nursery renovation. Of course she is. Sophia laughed. They'd moved into their own wing of the villa, but Donna Isabella visited daily. She was going to be an impossibly doting grandmother. Do you miss it? Marco asked. Nursing? Sometimes, Sophia admitted. But I found other ways to help. The free clinic we opened? I'm there 3 days a week. Treating patients who can't afford care, Marco said proudly. Funded by slightly less legal sources, Sophia added. But they don't ask questions and the people get help. You've changed this family, Marco said. Made us think about legacy differently. About what we leave behind. Speaking of leaving behind, Sophia turned in his arms. Your mother wants to know if we've thought about names. And I think if it's a girl, Isabella, after the woman who changed everything. Marco's eyes grew suspiciously bright. She'll cry for a week. Good tears, though. The best tears. They stood in the garden where Sophia had almost been taken, where guards had protected her, where she'd fallen in love with a man she never expected. Thank you, Marco said softly. For what? For not running. For staying. For seeing me. Thank you for coming back, Sophia replied. For keeping your promise. For loving me. Inside the villa, Donna Isabella watched them from the window, tears streaming freely. Look at them, she said to Maria. My son, happy, finally happy. You knew, Maria said, the moment you saw her. I knew, Donna Isabella agreed. Fate doesn't make mistakes. She walked into my hospital room carrying death away, and she walked out carrying our future. You're never going to let anyone forget you were right, are you? Maria asked fondly. Never, Donna Isabella grinned. In the garden, as the sun set golden over the Tuscan hills, Marco Romano held his wife close. The Mafia prince who'd forgotten how to feel, the nurse who'd reminded him. 2 lives that collided by accident and merged by choice. I love you, he whispered. I love you more, Sophia countered. Impossible. Want to bet? Always. They kissed as the evening star appeared above the olive tree, as guards changed shifts, as the villa settled into peaceful night. Sophia Benedetti had thought she was just saving a patient that day in the hospital. She didn't know she was saving herself too, saving her future, finding her home. Sometimes fate doesn't ask permission. It simply acts. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you're brave enough to accept what fate brings. Sophia had been that brave, and she'd found everything she never knew she needed. A family, a purpose, a love that defied logic, but felt more real than anything she'd ever known. She thought she saved a patient, but the woman she saved was the Mafia boss's mother, and she had claimed her as daughter-in-law on the spot. Turned out, Donna Isabella Romano's instincts were never wrong. Not about danger, not about family, and definitely not about love.